Jeff Forrest here. The new movie is Florence Foster Jenkins, and it stars the one and only Meryl Streep. What a pleasure to see you again.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
The first time you heard this voice, this would-be opera singer, and I guess she would be an opera singer if she could sing, what were your thoughts the first time you heard her?
The first time I heard her was I was in a play in drama school, and there were a bunch of kids in the pit, in the orchestra pit. It was Midsummer Night's Dream, and they played the Purcell music to accompany it. And they were all students from the Yale School of Music, and they were huddled over at the lunch break around a cassette player in those days. And they were screaming with laughter, and the actors were like, they're so dour, these musicians. Why are they laughing? And we went over, and it was Florence. They were playing this thing. And most music students and drama students will have heard of her.
For those who don't know, we're talking 1940s, New York City.
1944, in the wartime.
She had money. She came from some money.
Yes, in a time when you can't really say women had their own money. They inherited it or they married it. Most women were not in the professions, certainly women of that class that Florence belonged to. So they joined clubs, and that's where they worked the hierarchy of where they stood in society. Florence joined 60 clubs in New York and worked her way up and was very generous, charitably giving to all sorts of, mostly arts organizations.
I think our audience will be very curious about your singing in this. I read that Audra McDonald had pointed you towards a teacher.
Her teacher.
Her teacher.
Yes.
And she's awesome, as we all know.
She is.
She can do anything, as can you. And you sang in Ricky and the Flash, you sang in Into the Woods, it's really you singing in Mamma Mia. How hard was it to sing badly, to sing off-key?
Well, I was singing as Florence. You know, every time I've sung in a movie, I'm singing as a witch or a rock and roll singer. I'm singing kind of in character. I mean, I actually don't know what my own voice sounds like. To sing badly is surprisingly easy.
Well, I could give you an example of that. But you did have a realization, which was not that she was just a bad singer, that she was really close to being a good singer.
I wouldn't say good, but she was close to being okay. And sort of that's what pulled her audience's hopes up and buoyed them towards the moment where it just went wildly off the cliff, you know. And I think it was that anticipation, because there had to be something more than just bad singing. Bad singing would just send you out of the room.
I don't have perfect pitch by any means, but you would get to a note and I would be going,
everybody's kind of going up in the seats.
It's close, but it was a funny physical reaction.
It is
to
tricky.
Want to help her.
Yeah, but it is tricky to just sing just under that half tone under.
Here's the other thing that I came out thinking about this film, is that there's this fine line between delusion and courage.
Yeah.
And I thought that there's a lesson in this. To a certain extent, and then I thought, where am I delusional in my own life as an audience member? And I think people sort of challenge ourselves, but I think there's something beautiful about that, in that, was she delusional or was she just incredibly courageous, or both?
Or was there some middle ground where it's almost like kids? We lose that ability to immerse ourselves in a reality that we totally believe. And with great abandon, you hurl yourself into imaginative play. Kids do this all the time, and then we grow up and get careful and think, how do I look doing this? How do I seem like? Yeah. And I think that abandon, her joy, was also part of the infectious allure. She's stayed kind of current for some reason. She's stayed alive in certain people who devote themselves to their art and understand how hard it is to get it right.